Hi, this is episode 37 of Crondos. I'm your host, Jordan Hudgens. I'm a Ruby dev and the CTO of the DevCamp platform. On Tuesdays, I like to cover a topic related to getting hired as a developer. And today, I'm going to discuss the best questions to ask during a job interview, and I'll also discuss the other side of the spectrum and list out some of the key interview questions to avoid at all costs. If you haven't been through many job interviews or have never really prepared for one before, you may have the thought that I thought interviews were all about them asking the questions. However, one very important and many times overlooked facet of a good interview is asking strategic questions of the interviewer. In fact, Forbes researchers have outlined 3 goals that your questions should achieve. First, make sure the interviewer has no reservations about you. Second, demonstrate your interest in the employer. And third, find out if you feel the employer is the right fit for you. Interviewers like being asked questions. The questions you ask can reveal quite a bit about yourself, good and bad. Therefore, it's critical to ask the right questions. If you don't ask an interviewer questions, he or she may assume that you don't really care about the job itself and you're simply looking to make enough money to pay your rent. Interviewers want to find candidates excited about working with their company. Remember that if you're hired, you're going to be a reflection of the interviewer and will help or hurt their reputation. Anytime that I've hired an employee that turned out to be bad for the company, management has approached me and asked me why I hired them and how did I miss their shortcomings. And I kid you not, I hired an individual for a job about 5 years ago that turned out to be a horrible employee, and our CEO still gives me a hard time about the hire half a decade later. So make sure to take all of that into account when you're interviewing for a position. The following is a list of the best questions to ask during a job interview, along with why they're good questions to ask. I picked these up through the years as a manager for several software companies and also through researching the topic. The first is, how is performance measured for this position? This is probably my favorite question to be asked. It shows that the individual is not only interested in the job, but also wants to have an understanding of what it takes to be successful at the company. A key component of this question is also that the question focuses on how the company measures performance. This will give you a good idea of how data-driven the organization is and focuses on the key metrics that are important to the company. The second question is, what are some specific challenges that will be tasked with? Asking this question will show that you are not naive and that you understand that the job will have challenges and that you want to prepare for them in advance. Third, are there any responsibilities with the position that were not mentioned in the job posting? This type of question will tell the interviewer that you're savvy and experienced enough to know that 100% of the requirements don't always make it on the website. For example, the job may be a software development job. However, they may also want you to perform search engine optimization on the company website. This question not only positions you well with the interviewer, but also will give you an understanding of the full set of roles and responsibilities that the position will entail. The next question is, what is the corporate culture like? I like this question because it'll give you a feel for how the employees interact with each other along with management. It will also let the interviewer know that you're not purely interested in a 9-to-5 job. You're interested in working with the entire team. Another good question is, on average, how long do employees stay with the organization? Similar to the corporate culture question, this will subtly let the interviewer know that you're not looking for a short stint at the organization, but that you're looking for a long-term relationship with the company. The answer to this question will also help provide you with an understanding of how tolerant the company is in regards to keeping employees. If the average employee has been with the company for only a few years, there may be some issues causing the rapid turnover. Whereas if employees stay on for over a decade, it's a good sign that the organization is a great place to work. The next question is, do you have any hesitations about my qualifications or experience? This is a bold question, and you may or may not want to ask it depending on your confidence level. However, it'll let the interviewer know that you're not afraid to ask tough questions, and also that you are willing to hear constructive criticism. I've personally never been asked this question by an applicant before, but I would really admire someone that did. Now that you have a good idea on the type of questions to ask, here are some that you want to stay away from. You'll want to stay away from questions that appear that you want to get out of work, such as asking about the amount of paid time off, tiers of vacation days, etc. It's important to know these parts of the job. However, it will reflect better on you if you instead ask questions such as, what types of benefits are associated with the position? This question will get the interviewer to give answers to the PTO and vacation time without you coming across like someone who's already trying to see when they won't have to work but still get paid. Typically, you also don't want to ask questions that start with why. Why questions will immediately make the interviewer defensive and will give the conversation a feeling of being confrontational. These type of questions can usually be changed to start with how or other words like that, which will tell the interviewer that you're wanting to know more about the company instead of accusing the company of doing something wrong. An example of this would be asking something like, why does the company pay by check instead of direct deposit? This makes it seem like you're saying that the organization isn't staying up with modern payroll procedures, which it may or may not be, depending on the company. However, nothing good can come from this type of question. Hopefully this gives you an idea of what questions not to ask, but just in case a few more examples would help, here are some more questions that you should avoid. Is telecommuting a possibility for the position? If it was, they would have already mentioned it. If telecommuting was your top goal, you should consider becoming a freelancer. Next, how much does the position pay? You should already have a decent idea of how much the job pays if you're interviewing for it. You can worry about the wage after it's been offered to you. It's never a good thing when the interviewer thinks that your top priority is how much money you're going to make, because they'll assume that you'll leave the company if another organization offers you a modest raise. Another question I'd avoid is, what type of hours would I be expected to work? Interviewers and managers hate this question. Based on the job, you should already know this. However, you can reframe this question by asking something like, what does a typical day for this position look like? Lastly, never ask, how did I do, or do I have the job? Asking how you did sounds like you just finished a spelling test in the 3rd grade and doesn't reflect much on your confidence level. And if you had the job, they would have already told you. Wait and follow up with the interviewer in a week, and you'll be considered a mature and experienced candidate. I hope that this has been a helpful guide and will help you put together a strategy of the best questions to ask during a job interview. Many aspects of an interview aren't known going into it. However, you'll always have the ability to control the questions you ask. So it's good to put together a list of questions to ask so you can maintain some level of control over the interview process.